How did it all start?
Well, it all began with me when I was working for some years in East Africa. And as I lay under my mosquito net in the hot nights of East Africa, I dreamt of cool English woodlands. And I thought, wouldn't it be marvellous to be walking through a woodland which actually was mine? And that's how it all began.
Well, we just thought we'd go to an estate agent and ask for a list of woods for sale. But no estate agent had anything like a list of woods for sale. Hardly any estate agent had ever thought of selling a wood. So we scraped together the information we could, and we spent our Saturdays going round the southeast of England looking at these totally impossible little bits of woodland, terribly noisy at the edge of main roads, or ones that were on what appeared to be a vertical slope. And we were so discouraged, but eventually one did turn up. It was just an ordinary piece of woodland, nothing special about it, lots of conifers and lots of old trees, and happened to have a little bit of stream. There was lots of woodland like that, but this was available. So we jumped at it. Oh, it was very exciting. Everybody loved it. There was a lot of exploring and battling through the undergrowth to see what we'd got, and a lot of clearing of paths. Although teenagers are not desperately strong, but we all battled as best we could. Nobody ever had any power tools. That would have been far too dangerous. We just got on with what we got. There were areas that needed clearing, and it was really, really solid work and good fun.
That was when you were a teenager, when your parents got the woods.
Just, I think I must have been about 13, maybe
So tell
14.
me, what was it for 13-year-old Andros to be taken to the woodlands for on weekends?
Well, it was a bit like having a private adventure park where you could do things that you couldn't do at home or at school or in the local park, and you could dig and build and burn and explore in a way that's just not possible in an urban setting.
It was very important to you to take a friend with you, wasn't it?
Yes.
It's quite difficult to drag a teenage child into a strange wood.
It's difficult to drag them away from their screen.
Because they didn't have screens in those days.
Television.
And we had campfires and visitors. Friends came, the children brought friends, and whole families came, and the families got so keen that they would be coming on their own without us, which was great too. I just kept thinking, what a pity nobody else can have woods like us. It's just an ordinary wood, it's only that it was available. Why don't they split up bigger woods to make woods like ours?
How did the whole woodlands business start?
Well, I think it was partly me nagging all the time at how silly it was that nobody ever split up woods, and then subsequently you got very friendly with a chap who knew a great deal about woodlands and woodlands law and all sorts of ecology, because he was a lecturer in ecology, and so you and he found a woodland that was for sale. Not a very large one, but too large for a family, and persuaded us to go in with you and have a wood and split it and see what happened. And we did that. Well, that was quite a successful wood, as I remember it. So consequently, we had a little bit of money left over, and that helped us to get started on buying another one. And there were a lot of hiccups along the way, but eventually we got into a stride of it actually being able, we actually were able to have more than one big wood on the go at a time.
What sort of people bought those woods in the early days?
I don't know, really. Sorry, can't answer that.
Well, I come in there. I think they were people who were rather like us. They had a little bit of money, not enough really to buy a second home, and anyway, they didn't want the burden of a second home. The purchasers might have come into a little bit of money from a legacy, a family legacy. They might have saved up a bit, and they were interested usually in wildlife, in just being out in the countryside, the concept of owning a little of England. Later on, we did actually a survey of owners, and the variety of things which people did with the woods was enormous. Butterflies, birds, wildlife, forestry work, just camping, picnicking, everything. People who wanted to do more than just walk through woodlands, as you can in parks, Woodland Trust and so on, they wanted to get their hands dirty. They wanted to do things. In particular, everyone loves a fire. They wanted to make a barbecue, to have a campfire, even to have a big bonfire of stuff they'd cut down. So we had some marvellous big fires ourselves, and we know our purchasers do. Everyone's basically a pyromaniac.
So in the 25 years since the enterprise was established, what have you done to help people who bought woods?
Well, when we first bought our wood, there was no help at all for us to know how to begin or what we ought to be doing in our wood. Around about that time, the Small Woods Association was formed. Through the magazine and particularly through the conferences, we did meet a few people who, like ourselves, owned a small wood and lived somewhere else. And that was very interesting. So that was one source of advice and help. We, as a company, realised that this was very desirable, that they should have advice and help. And on our website, we began to put as much as we could of what would be useful and relevant. And also to put owners in touch with each other. That seemed to us very important. And a few years ago, we actually formulated a new organisation called the Small Woodlands Owners Group, as against the Small Woodlands Association, which is a less visible group because essentially it exists to put woodland owners in touch with each other. They have their own newsletter where they exchange news and views. They have a forum, a website forum, where they discuss matters of mutual interest. I think SWOG, I like to feel it is a support to all the woodland owners, but particularly new ones.
That's how it all began.
Good. Are your toes cold?
I was thinking...
Well.